Hi there. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to Beyond the Frame. I'm your host, Joe Parente, and I've learned some of my most valuable life lessons from my favorite TV shows and movies. Sure, these works of art entertain us, offer us an escape, even tap into our emotions. But Ryan, there's one E that you haven't put on your finger yet.
And that's educational. That's the educational finger. If you, from a different perspective, these stories and their characters can help us to learn and develop as human beings. Damn it. I'm your co-host, Ryan Vanderhei, and it's our mission with this podcast to share these unique perspectives with you so that you can grow from the show.
Right on. Let's see if I can say this without tripping over it. The topic of today's discussion, the movie Presence, starring Lucy Liu, Chris Sullivan, Kalina Yang, and Eddie Madej. I feel I should mention West Mulholland, who played a freaking psychopath frighteningly well. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, an up-and-coming director who just might make it in this town.
Guy's got a future, that guy.
He might. There's a definite maybe with that one.
Yeah.
As always, there are spoilers ahead, so if you want to see Presence with a clean slate, you might want to come back after you watch it. And if you haven't seen it and have no intention to see it, hopefully what we say will make you want to see it. Be sure to leave a like, rating, or review wherever it is that you listen or watch, as it really helps grow the show. Ryan, shall we begin?
Let's do it. Let's get ghosty.
The answers that you're looking for are lying just beyond the frame.
So Ryan, our central theme for our discussion today. How did you emotionally connect with this movie? Or perhaps more poignantly, did you emotionally connect with this movie? But before we explore that, I'll give a brief recap of the movie.
Wait, before we start, before we do the recap, this episode will probably be going out Thursday, Monday. This will be the first one of our series here that go out. I think we got to give a special shout out to new fans of ours. We have a new Brazilian listening audience that I just want to. I'm going to make a special tip the hat to. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. The overwhelming amount of support we've received on our I'm Still Here episode has just been so delightful. So I just wanted to say that at the top, just get that out there.
Really appreciate that you did that.
Yeah.
Because that has been fantastic for us to get all the comments that people wrote. Ryan and I have been talking about how moving it was for people to tell us their personal stories of having lived through that time, people who knew that family.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Fantastic. So
the internet's a weird place.
Isn't it? A wonderful and weird
wonderful place.
Yeah. So
and if same goes for this movie, if you connected to it, let us know. Let us know in the comments if you had any ghost experiences, any ghost stories you could tell.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating. I love hearing stuff like that.
Completely agree. God, that would be I'd love to see that. I'd love to hear your ghost stories. Yeah. Okay. So Ryan, getting back to this movie, we have yet another point of view movie on our hands.
I don't know what it is about this year or 2022 or 2025, but we've been firing off a lot of POV films.
We have. And something I really like about them is this is so different from Nickel Boys.
Yeah.
And the effect for us, the viewer, is incredibly different because with this POV, I'll get into it. I just found it to be as the viewer, I felt so differently in the cinema watching Nickel Boys and having the actors look at me the way they looked at me, because very few of the actors are actually looking at us in presence.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Because they don't know we're there.
Yeah, which is very, you're right. Such a creative use of this filmmaking technique. Yeah. In each of these films we've discussed.
Exactly.
It's right for the specific material for the project. And this is no different. This was I thought a really, really brilliant use of the camera.
I love hearing that. We will get to the POV of who it is that whose
Yeah.
perspective we're coming from with this
Yes,
movie. We'll
yes.
definitely get into that. I just did want to make one more comment about what you just said, and I think about this when I watch the movies, and I've said this to you before. Ryan and I are talking about how these movies hit us, emotionally, but at the same time, we can still appreciate great camera work, great cinematography,
Yes.
really good storytelling,
Yes.
excellent pacing, soundtracks that really move us and seem appropriate.
Yeah.
And I thought about this. I just thought the camera work was so well done. It was so smooth. I thought,
He operated on this?
did he really?
Yeah.
It's off to that rookie Soderbergh.
Right. So I
Really maybe gonna make it.
I'll make this quick. I went to when I saw a screening of it. I saw like an early screening in LA at Burbank AMC 16 with Soderbergh Q&A
Awesome.
afterwards.
Oh my God.
And so he talked about how he's been operating on his movies since Traffic, since his movie Traffic.
Wow.
So for a long time.
He
He was like, that was me. I was the camera going up and down the stairs and going into he had to wear these special, he talked about they were kind of like hospital slippers
Sure.
that could grip the floor.
Wow.
So he could, and so it was quiet.
It
also
was.
so that he could, follow them around.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. So
I'm
very,
really
very,
impressed.
not only his idea to use the camera in that way, but it was him behind it.
He's
He
the one
was
who
our,
executed.
He was our ghost.
Fantastic.
Soderbergh was our ghost.
which is our POV.
Yes.
As the ghost. So just to give a quick recap, we see the interior of an empty New England style house, which was actually in New Jersey. And when we then look out the windows to see a family, mom and dad, son and daughter, pull up, and a real estate agent, and they're all approaching the house, and we glean pretty quickly that mom, Lucy Liu, is the boss.
Yeah.
And does the negotiating. We learn that the daughter, Chloe, played by Kalina Yang, has been through a rough event recently, and we don't yet know what that is. We also learn pretty quickly that dad, played by Chris Sullivan, is the nurturer of the two parents.
Yes.
The mom here, is like, the way I thought of the mom and dad, mom is like a cement pillow and dad's like a warm blanket.
Yeah.
They are quite different.
Yeah,
Mom
she's a bit cold.
She is a bit cold, except to one particular character, and
Which
we'll
we'll
get to
get
that.
into.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we can also glean that the son Tyler, played by Eddie Medei, the only character to whom she is not a cement blanket, cement pillow, is the golden child in mom's eyes. And an asshole in mine. But I digress.
And mine.
So, okay.
I second that note.
Wow, that kid, he good actor, because
Yeah.
he made me clench my fist a few times.
Oh, I hated him.
Boy, when the dad was showing, he was so close to not showing the patience he showed. I'm like, let him have it, Dad. Let him have it.
Yeah. Don't hold back. Tell him what you really want to say.
I love it.
Do it for all of us.
Exactly. And he would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, for all of us. So good job to him, Eddie. Anyway, mom says that the house is perfect, despite what the dad points out, like that they'll hear sirens in proximity due to the firehouse that's nearby. Well, sirens be damned. They're buying that house. So the family moves in. We learn a lot more about them, as well as why the daughter has been having such a rough time. And that is because her best friend took fentanyl and stopped breathing. So, and it was actually the second friend of hers who died the same way.
Yeah, it's tough.
And Chloe is really deeply affected by this. And we also see through the eyes of the presence, and this is the POV, we are looking out through the eyes of the presence that's in this house. We also see that the presence can move objects.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah.
And that Chloe can sense that it's there. She can't see it, but she knows it's there. And the rest of the movie ensues. So that's the setup.
That's the setup.
That's the setup. So, I asked some quasi-hypothetical questions earlier, but I'm going to ask you one more directly.
Okay.
Now. So Ryan, did you connect with this movie? And please tell us why you did or didn't. And also, we would like to know, which scenes moved the needle for you in whatever direction you went?
I think I did connect with
Okay.
the movie on more than one level. There's a lot of different things I could talk about. How
Okay.
I connected to it as a filmmaker, as we shortly discussed there, as a fan of the haunted house genre. I'm
Okay.
a massive fan of this genre of films.
Okay.
So seeing it with such a fresh approach, I ate it up in the theater.
Okay.
But I think what you're looking for ultimately, what we're looking for here is, and the purpose of this podcast is, did I connect to the story, the theme, the characters? Is that what I connected to? And the answer is yes. Now, I don't believe in ghosts. I'm going to put that out top of this.
Can't
right?
believe that.
Yeah. So, and that's because I've never seen or experienced a ghost at all in my life. So I'd probably land somewhere between the son and the dad in this equation as far as the attitude towards something like this occurring.
Sure.
However, that being said, I absolutely connect to what, to me, it felt like the main driving theme here, which was the importance of only having one chance in life. I should provide context by saying that I don't believe in an afterlife or reincarnation or anything like that.
Okay.
Hence why I don't believe in ghosts. I don't think that there's anything after we're not breathing anymore. So in this movie, our ghost uniquely gets a second chance at doing right by their past mistakes and has the opportunity to actually save their sister's life. Sorry, spoilers. I know that's it. I just gave away the entire film. So, but I thought that this was really remarkable and very moving. And not only that, but extremely well written.
Why wasn't it?
It was so captivating. I went into this open-minded, but not knowing what to expect.
Okay.
What are we going to go? Is it going to be really scary? Horror?
Right.
Like that's.
I didn't know that
I
either.
think that's what a lot of people expected.
Agreed.
And I was so pleasantly surprised.
Me too.
That this was more of a story about a family and about love and about mistakes and things. And so this creative use of storytelling had me really thinking about how I live my life. Like that this is it. That this is my only chance. Once I die, the lights go out. I don't exist anymore. That mindset creates this sense of importance within me, or for not only doing something worthwhile with my life, but I guess doing the best possible job that I can.
I love that.
I don't know if that's the right way to put that, but
I don't know if there's a right way. It's a way to put it.
let me explain.
Okay.
I want to be the best son that I can be. I want to be the best friend, the best coworker, the best husband, father, etc., etc. It's the single most important driving factor in my life, that this belief I have that when the lights are out, the lights are out. There's no turning them back on. There's no second chances. Unlike in this film, where, yes, of course, time doesn't work the same way, etc., but the son gets a second chance. He by all means, like we just talked about, we fucking hated him. He was an asshole, and he said some really hurtful things to his sister, and he wasn't there for her, and the list goes on. He didn't believe her. All this made her seem like a fool, that she was crazy. And I just felt like, what a unique point of view, what a unique opportunity, that if this is how things panned out for you, if you were able to have that second chance, that second opportunity to right your wrongs and to go back and not rewrite history, but a chance to do the right thing, a chance to almost save yourself.
Okay.
In a way, if that makes any sense at all.
It does, absolutely. One of the things I appreciate about doing this podcast with you and being friends with you is that we see things sometimes from a very different perspective. However, what's really interesting to me is like we kind of arrive at the same place.
Okay.
Because I have a very different perspective on what was before you and I were Joe and Ryan, and what's after that.
Interesting.
You and I have very, very different approaches. However, I reached the same conclusion. I want to be the best brother, son, friend I can possibly be, citizen I can be.
Yeah.
That's really important to me.
Okay. And what, do you mind me asking what this perspective is?
To me, there's nothing but life.
Okay.
And there's nothing but time. And I don't mean as Joe Parente. I mean, I think I look at it in a similar way to you in that this is my one shot at being who I am right now. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make the most of that.
Okay.
But to me, it doesn't make any sense, just to me,
Okay.
that once this heart stops beating, that I am no more.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
That for so many reasons that we could go on about. And I've also alluded to Ryan, and I'll potentially touch on that here. That I've had a lot of personal experiences that have kind of proven that to me.
Okay.
That's
love
where
to hear more
that's
about
where I have like the empirical data that you don't.
Sure.
And so to me, the fact that you said like I don't believe in ghosts because I haven't experienced them, to me that is incredibly sane. I love that.
Oh, really?
I do. I respect that a lot
Okay.
because
Interesting.
you're not just going off of wishing or believing or that sounds really cool. You're like, haven't seen it. So to me, it doesn't exist. Dude, I love that thinking.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
So-
appreciate you sharing that unique perspective with us.
Yeah.
Hey, it's kind of like you said. Not only do I love doing this because we have different experiences and we do arrive at different conclusions or whatever it is, but I learn a lot about you
Me too.
in
with
this,
you.
know?
Yeah.
So because that's something I didn't know about you until right now. So as the audience is learning, so am I.
Well, and it's funny because to me, I wouldn't talk about such things unless it was evoked, unless someone asked, unless
okay.
you know, and so this dynamic is set up right now.
This is the opportunity to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. To a degree. To a
Okay.
degree.
So tell me more about how you connected to it then.
First of all,
How
yeah,
did you connect? I just
Okay.
explained how I connected to the
Yeah.
film. I want to know how you connected to it.
so many ways. So I thought it was fantastic storytelling. I kept wondering what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. And it showed me that there are a lot of movies where I'm just kind of going along for the ride and I'm not even that curious sometimes, like what's going to happen next. And you should be. And this, because, you know, of the genre and expectations, is it going to be a typical slasher thing? Well, no, not at all. I found the POV to be fascinating. I thought the pacing was fantastic. It kept me wondering what was going to happen. I liked the fact that the presence wasn't some mindless killing machine.
Yeah.
Was out to terrorize the family, a la, you know, American Horror Story.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what we expect going into a movie like that.
that's right. And this was not a horror film at all. And I wish it weren't marketed as such. That really bothers me.
Okay. I like you said that. I think that's genius that they marketed it that way.
To give people that expectation.
Yeah, because I think if you frame it in a way, I think they know, these people know things we don't. And I think that they knew if you market it as, it's a ghost story, but it's about the family and it's this warm, happy, I don't think people see it.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
don't
agree with
think
that.
People see it. I
Okay,
think people see it if they think it's scary, it's ominous, it's a ghost.
That's an interesting
It's gonna
point.
happen.
Okay, because I wouldn't necessarily market it that way of like this is some kind of warm fuzzy family story because it isn't really.
It's a tragedy.
It is absolutely a tragedy.
Yeah.
God, I hope we get to talking about the son Tyler and how he did redeem himself. 'Cause it
Yes.
was pretty freaking spectacular.
Yes.
So there was redemption from all that assholishness. But you did make me think of. I read someone's a user's review on IMDb, a viewer's review, saying that they couldn't stand the tension and they walked out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's like.
Interesting.
Dude, if you just kept breathing and gave it a chance, you would have seen that this isn't what you thought it was. So you're talking about exactly that kind of that plugged in expectation that people
Yeah, we're all
had.
sitting there going, when's it going to happen? When's
Yeah.
it going to start killing people?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I love that how we, in the eyes of the presence, are witnessing crucial conversations that give us a really full picture of what's going on in that house. The mom's, shall we say, twisted love for her son Tyler made my skin crawl, quite frankly. Kudos to Lucy Liu for pulling that off so well.
She did a great job. And
sure did.
that whole scene we're at the kitchen counter, I was going like,
Is she
I was like
hitting
looking at the
on
people
him?
next to me.
Like-
Like, are we all feeling this? Like,
She's relaxed. She's had a glass of wine. She's like, she's got this fine young man sitting with her. It's your son.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, so we also get to see Dad's care for his daughter's emotional and mental well-being, which I loved.
What a lovely guy.
He was. Oh my God.
And a lovely actor. He was my favorite performance of the film.
I completely agree. He was mine too. And we got to see Tyler, the son, was a burgeoning swimming talent and an even bigger dick. Kudos to Eddie Medei again for pulling that off. And we got to see that Chloe wasn't insane. She was just really sad.
Yeah.
She had a broken heart.
Yeah.
And we knew that the presence, which she could sense, was real.
Yeah.
Because here we are looking out through the eyes of the presence, and she's like, whoa.
Something's here.
Yeah.
I feel it.
And so we know that she's onto something.
And I thought the beautiful, to just before we get into the next section here, to speak about the storytelling. I thought that it was just so brilliant that we don't know who the presence is.
That's
and
right.
We're fed. The friend has died recently. She's kind of calling out to it. Is that you? Is that you? Are you there?
That's right.
She tells her family it's her. So we're led to believe as an audience, well, maybe it is.
Right.
First, is it somebody who died in the house?
Right.
Right. That's everyone's first.
Exactly.
Somebody must have died or been
Exactly.
murdered there.
That's right.
Then we get this unique possibility that it could be the friend.
True.
So then we're on two tails now. We've got
right.
could be somebody that was
Yeah.
murdered there. Could
Right.
be the friend.
Right.
We're not thinking about number 3. We're not thinking about who it actually is in the end. Or at least I wasn't. I can only speak for myself. But I had never, at no point until the reveal, was I thinking, oh, that's her brother.
And I'm not sure that I thought it was him initially, even after seeing him,
Okay. Interesting.
because I wasn't convinced it was the same presence.
Wow, that's a whole different discussion. Okay, we could go into that. But before we do
But
that,
before we do,
we
yeah.
got to do a bad guy break.
let's do it.
We have to do it. So I was thinking about this theme here, and I was thinking about ghost stories and stuff, and a presence getting a second chance. And it led me to think about my introduction to the horror genre.
Okay.
My dad sat me down, made me watch this when I was way too young to be watching it. It destroyed my dreams for a good month. But now I love horror films, so thank you to Dad. The film that or the year that this film came out, is 1984. The genre is a slasher horror. The setting is Springwood, Ohio, and the actor who played this character is Robert Englund. And if you don't know by now, I'm talking about Mr. Freddy Krueger, Mr. Butterknives himself, from A Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was awesome.
Freddy in those movies
Mm-hmm.
is the physical manifestation of a dead man who burned alive. He's got the, iconic melted face sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And he returns to the physical world, not to protect anyone, like our wonderful brother in The Presence, but to rather torture the lives of several innocent teenagers. And boy, does it make for one hell of a slasher flick. A classic, by all accounts.
Totally agree. I loved
Do you
it.
like the Nightmare on Elm Street films?
The original, I thought, was
Okay.
incredible.
I should say I've only seen that one. I've only seen the first 2 and then Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I haven't. Oh, and then the remake, which was horrid.
I believe you. I've only seen the first 2,
Okay. Yeah.
which were. Did you ever see Halloween?
The original? Wait, when was the original though?
1978. Or no, 1980.
I don't know. Have I seen the original?
80 or 80?
I've seen a lot of the
Oh,
newer ones, but I don't know that I've seen
it
the.
is 78. Okay.
I don't know if I've seen the actual original one. I'll have to maybe go back and
Man,
check it out.
being old as dirt, I saw that in the cinema with two of my friends, and oh my God, we got back into the car. My friend Doug still reminds me of this. Three of us get back into the car, and we're rattled from that movie, and we're totally silent. And I let out a blood-curdling scream, and I just freaked my friends out. It was awesome.
That's the perfect thing to do after that. You gotta have a little fun.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, Halloween and Nightmare, they both shook me, man.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk briefly
Okay.
about how our POV here, the Ghost of the Sun, goes through a lot of different emotions in this film, all without saying anything or us seeing him. Or in this case, it's worth noting, Soderbergh himself operated on this, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
But the decisions of what the camera decided to look at
And not look at.
how close or far it was, how intense its movements were.
Yeah.
We got a sense of the emotions of the ghost
I loved that.
without seeing or hearing anything.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
absolute brilliance.
It was. It was.
It gets angry at itself.
Yes.
In its human form. It starts messing things up in its room, like basically yelling out without saying anything, "You are such an idiot.
Yep.
If only you knew."
Yeah.
We see how heartwarming it is as it looks after the sister. That I after the reveal at the end, that I was like, oh,
Yeah.
taking
Amazing.
care of her, protecting her, putting her things away,
Yep.
looking after her.
When she was going to get roofied.
When she was going to get roofied, knocking the glass on the ground. That is so just heartwarming. And ultimately, literally saving her life by the end of the film. I mean, I just thought that was so, I don't know, unique, profound.
It was profound.
It was.
I love how that was shot too. That looked like one continuous shot all
I'm sure
the way
it
down,
was.
all the way down to them on the.
There was
the
a
driveway.
lot of long takes here. He talked about that in the Q&A about how the actors. It was he said it was funny. He was like, it was me that was messing up. It wasn't the actors. They knew their lines. They knew they were in it.
Oh wow!
It was me that was like, oh, because you're operating and you're walking and you're trying to sometimes he said, you cut off the person's head or you didn't follow them fast enough.
Right.
Or those are things where you got to cut. Let's go back.
Right.
Where people are in it.
Isn't
So it's
that
just
something?
funny that he said that that's how it happened. But before we get to our fun fact here, I want to know more about your experiences and how you connected with this film. I want to know a little bit about, you said you've had some experiences in your life that have kind of, can you give me one or two? Just give me a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, I opened this door, admittedly, because I told Ryan and I were discussing how we're going to approach doing this episode. And I alluded to the fact that I've had a lot of events in my life that are not what one might call normal. And for that reason, I rarely bring them up, really only if it feels appropriate.
Are we feeling appropriate now? Because
I'll tell you.
if not, I'm turning this off and we're.
No. I'll tell you one of the first ones I had. This was in undergrad, and it wasn't the first, but it was part of what made this so much fun. Well, there's someone who kind of witnessed it, so nothing to do with ghosts or anything like that in a way. But I'm at it's my senior year of college, and I'm at my girlfriend's house, and we're sleeping, and I find myself all of a sudden, I'm dreaming, but it's not like a dream. It's like I'm plopped into this situation, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, like, oh my God, where am I? And I am
Like a lucid
standing.
dream, or
I wouldn't even call it that.
okay,
I just know that I'm asleep in my girlfriend's bed
okay,
and I'm here watching whatever I'm watching
okay,
at the same, because I know I'm in bed. I know my body is in bed.
okay. So a sort of a sense of awareness of one's.
All I can tell you is I just know that I'm asleep in a bed, and yet here I am.
Oh, that's so
And-
interesting.
And I didn't try to come here. It's just like boom. And where I was so I was a political science major, and I am in the house of Professor McKibben. This is the first time I'd ever taken a class from Dr. McKibben, and I am standing behind him in his big stuffed chair in his living room. I know his wife is in the next room doing something. He's got the TV on. He's not listening to it. And look, I was really good in my major. Like I got A's in all poli-sci classes.
Yeah.
And she and I had only started going out fairly recently before, and this was back in the 80s. So you could still handwrite papers back then.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote mine by hand, sure, but I didn't even bother to staple it. I handed it in loosely,
Oh man.
which just still blows my mind. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
couldn't
crazy.
take 5 seconds to staple it.
Right.
No, I was so in love or whatever that I
Right,
spent
right.
every waking and sleeping moment with this girlfriend. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've never had Dr. McKibben, like I said before, and I'm looking over his shoulder, and he is talking out loud as he's grading my paper, and he is frustrated. And he's saying to his wife, who's not listening, this kid, sorry, I don't mean to yell, this kid does not get it. He doesn't understand the question. And he's writing comments in the right margin in green felt pen.
Oh wow.
And he's writing a lot. He's kind of pissed. He's pissed that I'm so off the mark.
Yeah.
And I'm also upset because
Sure.
I'm even thinking I'm not off the mark. I know this stuff. Are you
Right.
kidding? I'm the best student you've ever had.
Yeah.
Okay. So he gets to the back and he goes, the kid didn't even bother to staple it.
Which you're going, well,
And,
that's true.
And I'm like, well, okay,
got
I'll give
a
you that one.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you that one. He gets to the back page, 58, and circles it. 58?
Yeah,
That's
that's
like a low F.
Yeah.
Okay?
that's
I wake up and I tell my girlfriend about this dream. And she's like, whoa. And I was like, I was there. I'm telling you, I was there. And I could tell you what his house looked like. And she goes, it's ridiculous. 58?
Yeah.
You'd never get a 58. So I get on my bike. I ride up to school. I'm late to Dr. McKibben's class.
Sure.
He's already lecturing. I sit down in like the only empty seat. He keeps talking. He goes up to his desk and kind of gathers my loose pages and walks over. And you should have seen the look he gave me as he slapped my paper down on the desk and just kept talking and walked away. I open it up. There are all those comments in green felt pen in the margin. I get to the back page, 58.
What?
Circled.
What?
I brought that home to my girlfriend and she lost it.
I bet.
I watched him grade my paper.
Holy.
And it wasn't the last time. It happened again,
Whoa.
and other things happened.
That is fascinating.
Oh, dude, I've got much better ones than that.
We gotta talk more about it
So-
because I am fascinated.
That got me into. I read this book called The Dancing Woolly Masters. I wanted to know how someone can be in two places at one time because I was asleep in that bed and I was in Dr. McKibben's house.
Yeah.
And I watched him grade that paper.
Yeah.
And then when the second one happened, exact same, different professor.
Yeah.
I tried to get to him before he handed the papers back because I'd watched him grade it. So I knew what I got.
Whoa, man, that is intense.
There you go.
Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
I appreciate that. I hope people are listening are going the same thing. Like, what the hell? Has anybody ever had any kind of experiences like that? If you could give us some information on if anybody else has had a similar experience. The only thing I've had, I would say that's relatively not even close, but I've had sleep paralysis a number of times.
Oh,
in
yeah,
my
me
life,
too. Yeah.
Where I'm aware
Yep.
that I'm sleeping, but I
Yeah.
can't wake up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to wake myself up,
Yeah.
and I can't.
Yeah. That's.
I've had that a couple of times, but I've never never had anything remotely close to that. It's very fascinating that as you were saying it, I was like, he's going to go to class and it's going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
The 58's going to be there.
And what was really fun was telling my girlfriend so that there was a witness.
Yeah, so you came back and
I'm not the only one.
What did she do when you showed her the paper?
She was almost too much for her.
Yeah, it was
almost too much.
That's witchcraft. Get that away from me.
Totally. I think I saved that paper.
I bet you did.
I think I have that somewhere.
I'd frame that thing.
Because man, to be there and watch him and listen to him and watch him writing these comments, and who grades a paper with a green felt pen?
Yeah, that's diabolical.
That was part of what was so bizarre about it. Was even while I was watching, I was like, who does that?
Yeah, that's diabolical.
Well, Dr. McKibben did.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell him about that or no?
No. Wow. No. I was just trying to redeem myself in that class after that, which I did. But
man, how do I even bring it back to the movie here? I'm
Where were we?
I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of the day. I'm gonna be laying in bed tonight, like.
That's funny.
So why don't we give them a fun fact, huh?
Yeah.
When we get back here. So I went to the Q&A, like I said, and the first question the moderator asks to Soderbergh is, where did you get the idea from to do it in this way? And he proceeds to say that him and his wife had gone out of town and they had a house sitter. And while they were gone, the house sitter told them that they saw a ghost in their house. And so
Wow.
Soderbergh and his wife had never seen anything or experienced anything. So like, oh, that's weird. But of course, you're naturally going to do some digging, right? So they're, researching and things, and come to find out a woman died in their house. And not only that, died in the master bedroom. And the ideas of they're not sure it was labeled a suicide. There's some, it could have not been. There could have been some interference there. Ooh. So, as an artist naturally does, he starts to wonder, what would this ghost think of the new family that has moved into their house? What would they be thinking? This new family that has now moved into my house. And so, from that, the idea was born, and it blossomed into what we know and what we saw to be the presence.
Huge kudos to him and to everyone in this movie. I thought the acting was fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought the daughter Chloe was incredibly sympathetic.
Yeah.
Again, Lucy Liu and how she was. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One of the things I just want to mention before we go into the top 5 here, is how the presence, like when Chloe is having sex with this kid, goes into the closet and looks away.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to. No. Don't want to be here for this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be here for this.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic because, again, you'd alluded to this earlier. You talked about a little bit. We get a sense of the personality of the character of the presence, and how much it's looking out for her and how much it cares for her. And you could sense and you got to see by its acts, there was so much goodness in it.
Absolutely.
And so to get a thriller movie where the presence in the house is a profound kindness, what an incredibly refreshing perspective.
Original.
Original. Again, this Soderbergh, this guy, I don't even know how to say his name right. He just might make it. He just might.
And to your point with exactly what you just mentioned, the payoff of when you found out, at whatever point it is in the story, that you find out, that you make the realization that it's the brother, then I started going back and I started going, that's why he wasn't looking.
Exactly.
You wouldn't watch your sister have sex.
That's
You'd
right.
look away.
That's right.
And it's like,
that's right.
Brilliant. Genius.
Because up until that point, we still could have thought that it was the friend who passed away.
Of course.
Yeah.
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 That's what I was thinking the whole time. That's the writing led me to believe that this is the friend that's kind of looking out for her.
You know what I would have loved to have seen, and this to me is also a great, a sign of a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what's going to happen after the movie ends, because Lucy Liu now has seen her son at the end of the movie, that he was she saw him.
Yeah.
She was such a huge skeptic. She was cruel to Chloe.
Yep.
And
Totally.
of all people for that to be the kid who had been such a jerk
Yeah.
to his sister.
Oof. Yeah. Profound. Very moving.
Agreed. So if you like that, let me give you some recommendations, okay? Number 1, A Ghost Story, starring Rooney Mara. You can see that on Max. The second is The Sixth Sense, starring... Yeah,
classic.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. And if you didn't know, it stars Bruce Willis on Prime. It Follows.
Yeah.
My bad. Starring Micah Monroe on Max.
Love that movie.
Me too.
That's a good one.
4, Poltergeist. What a classic. Starring Jo Beth Williams on Paramount Plus. And 5, The Others, starring Nicole Kidman on AMC Plus.
That's a sleeper. So we don't have a lot of time. Super quickly, I want to mention one last thing.
Please.
I thought there were 2 really brilliant aspects of the plot that I thought were really wonderful. The first being, and they're both by way of this medium that comes to the home. So she comes to the home and mentions that time might not work for them the same way it does for us. Might not be linear. So I thought that was when we finally, see that the presence
very good point.
was actually trying to prevent something from happening rather than being the result of something that had already happened. Loved that.
Yeah.
The second being the same medium, or rather her husband in this case, explains to the family that certain people are be able to be in tune with this kind of thing. You are one of them. Apparently.
Yeah.
That they can experience things, but not that everyone can. And they describe it as a door that opens. And for the wife, the medium, you could tell she's kind of a bit troubled. That door has been left open. And sometimes you can access, or this door opens when something traumatic happens or something difficult happens to you. And so the entire film, we see that the mom has no real connection to this presence.
Really good point, Ryan.
So she's always just, I don't see anything, I don't hear anything. We never see a reaction from her.
That's right.
As to what's happening.
Until
the last scene in
Yes.
the movie.
Yes.
When she goes to the mirror and she sees her son after she has mourned or is mourning his death. Now that door's been opened.
I'm really glad you brought that up. Because I've even thought of it for myself as a door. If the door's open, then these things happen.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that in the movie, her explanation of that. I thought it was fantastic. I love those points that you brought up. And doesn't it all come back to masterful storytelling that really did strike an emotional key, and that's not something that you would expect from a horror kind of suspenseful movie.
Absolutely.
Like that. It added such a wonderful human element.
Yeah. And it's something that audiences could connect to.
Completely agree.
No matter what.
Completely
I mean,
agree.
you might not be able to connect to Freddy Krueger running around slicing people's faces off.
Right.
But you can absolutely connect to this human story about this family and about
That's right.
grief and about second chances and about just looking after each other. Absolutely. Well said. Well done by Soderbergh.
Agree.
And
I will watch it again.
I want talking like this discussion we had has made me want to see it again.
Me too.
I wish I could go see it right now.
Yeah, me too. I would love to see it again.
So yeah, really, really great. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
all your story there with us. I mean, that's fascinating. I'm curious to see what people think or if they have stories of their own to share.
Yeah, I would love to hear that too. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please leave a comment.
Yeah.
We would really love that. We'd love to have that dialogue with you. So shall we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up, man.
Okay. Just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, as always, you're the main character of your own life. So don't be afraid to take a step back. Take a look at the bigger picture, because sometimes the answers that you're looking for are lying just beyond the frame. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.